So this week, you'd think I'd be reviewing Fallout 4. I mean, everyone else is playing it, right? Well, no, I haven't played New Vegas yet. I understand that it's not required to play Fallout 4, but nope. Plus, I don't spend $60 on a new game very often. And besides, one day wouldn't be enough to cover everything in it. I'm not one of those special people that get early copies to review them. I'm not privileged enough. So instead, I'm doing Wario Land 4 for the Game Boy Advance. Hell of a different game, of course, but it's still a fun one. As fun as Fallout? Well, yeah, since they're both drastically different games. And I promise it's the last time I'll mention one of the Fallout games. At least today. Once again, you play as Wario, who is driving around in a sweet ride, where he's headed towards some sort of mysterious pyramid that was discovered in the jungle. He enters this pyramid, and is thrown into a bunch of strange levels hidden inside paintings. Remind you of another Nintendo game? That's right, it's similar to Mario 64. Okay, maybe you don't actually enter paintings, but the portal that appears sure makes it look like that. Anyway, once you enter a stage, you have several objectives. One is to find the key that is floating around. You need to bring this to the exit, which is the same point as the entrance. There's also 4 boxes that need to be opened, as each one has a quadrant of a large stone. Grab these 4 pieces because they are required to open up the boss's door. The key itself is only used to open up the next stage in the area you're currently in. More on that shortly. Finally, there's also gems all over the place, along with a hidden CD in every level. The CDs aren't required, but are just an extra bonus. So let me backtrack about the stage layout. At first, you're only given access to one stage, in the entry passage. Once you clear this tutorial stage and the boss, you're allowed to enter any of the remaining 4 areas. After these are all cleared, the final area in the center of the pyramid is unlocked. You get to go through one final stage before fighting the boss of the game. It's simple enough to learn the way it works. As for the 4 outlying rooms, each has a different theme. The Sapphire Passage are like a town-based world. Yellow themed levels are like a game room, which, in my opinion, were the most fun. The red stages are themed around industrial settings. Finally, the green levels are made from natural settings, like jungles and lakes. Each stage has its own environment, and as such, enemies may change a bit. Sure, there's a few universal ones, like the spear-wielding guys, but overall, each world is unique in its own way. There's also some different gimmicks in each level, like the magic carpets in the Arabian level, and the dice roll piece of the board game stage. Every stage is fun in its own right, because you don't know what you're going to be getting into. So in Wario Land 3, Wario was invulnerable, other than changing into his various forms. In Wario Land 4, some of those forms are back, but they aren't nearly as prevalent as in his previous game. As for his immortality, well, that's gone. In place of that is a standard health bar. Wario starts every stage with 4 hearts, along with a small bar underneath that. If you grab a heart, it's increased by 1 point. However, when defeating enemies, they'll drop small red orbs. Grab 8 of these and they'll be changed into an actual life point. Don't worry if you die, because you'll just have to start stage from scratch. There are still infinite lives. There are gems and coins in the game, and these are simply used to play the minigames. There are 3 available minigames, and each awards medals for getting higher scores. The first one is a home run derby, which, on my Game Boy Advance, was the easiest because you can tilt the screen and play it easily. However, when I was using an emulator to record the footage, it made it a bit more difficult. I know I could have rotated the orientation on my monitor, but I decided against it. Either way, this game is still fun, and gives you a medal for every 3 home runs. The next one is a tire hop, where Wario is riding a tire and needs to jump over various obstacles. This one can be difficult because at first it's hard to time the jumps. You get a medal for every 30 successful hops. Finally, there's a memory style game where you're shown Wario's face with various features, and then you have to replicate it. This one is simple if you have a good memory, although it starts getting faster. This one also gives you a medal for every 3 successful face swaps. So what are these medals for? Before each boss is an item shop where you can exchange these medals. Each of these items is essentially a bonus attack for the boss. It will be activated automatically and do a chunk of damage, depending on the item you bought. It's not required, and I've finished most of the bosses without even needing a single item, but I did buy one just to show you how it works. So back to the gameplay. In Wario Land 3, Wario has to find specific items in order to do certain attacks. Not anymore. Wario has access to all of his skills right from the start, and you'll need them all. Using the L or R buttons allows you to run faster, allowing him to do the charged headbutt attack. You'll be using this a lot, plus you'll need the speed once you hit the bomb. Maybe I should talk about that. At one point in the level, you'll find a bomb that Wario must jump on. Doing so will do multiple things. First and foremost, it'll bring the exit up, which, again, is at the beginning of the level. It'll also bring about a time limit. Sometimes blocks will disappear, allowing you to enter previously inaccessible areas of the stage. Other times, stages will change completely. For example, the lava cave stage becomes an icy wonderland. There are times where items can only be obtained once the bomb is activated, so you'll need to keep this in mind. As you're running around the levels, you may find purple pipes. Entering these will give you a chance to complete a small puzzle in order to obtain a large amount of cash. Most of the times, the reward is simply a large blue jewel, which nets you 1,000 coins. Other times may require you to defeat a large amount of enemies, giving you about the same reward. These puzzles usually involve throwing around a rock or some old guy, and if you screw up, you can just exit the room and re-enter. I should also mention that the graphics and music are phenomenal. Every level is detailed perfectly, and on the tiny GBA screen it looked awesome. As for the music, it's catchy, and every tune sounds great. Wario also has his trademark sound effects, and they sounded perfectly fine through the GBA's tiny little speakers. If you go into the CD room, you can listen to the albums you picked up, but most of them aren't songs based from the stages. They're just odd sound effects and strange music clips with poorly animated actors in corner dancing. If you want to call it that. I don't know. It's weird, but I think it was done that way intentionally, just to be wacky. I would have preferred an actual music room that had the music of a game though. That would have been awesome. If you have a GBA, Wario Land 4 is a must-own. It appeals to everyone. There's puzzles, there's action, there's minigames, there's boss battles, there's treasure. What's not to like? I spent quite a bit of time with the game when I was deployed overseas, and I can say that I really enjoy it a lot. It's just an overall fun game. Each level is different enough so that it remains unique. Overall, this is definitely a must-play. It really is that fun. Final score? 10 out of 10. This is Reaper. Facebook.com/ReapersReviews. Happy fragging.